Hey everybody, welcome to our Pokemon Crystal playthrough. My name is Chris.
My name is Trey.
We are the console freaks. We were supposed to have another member in here, but it's really tough to schedule doing commentaries. But Pokemon RPG. I've had quite some trouble with recording RPGs, and finally getting to this. What is your experience with Pokemon, Trey?
I don't really have a whole lot after really the first Pokemon game I played. The first one I played was Leaf Green that I've played all the way through, and
That's
actually
good.
took some time to beat. And then after that, I kind of lost interest in Pokemon.
Well, as you can see, our great adventurer Keith is making a triumphant return.
Look at that pose. He's starting
this
early.
This is his pre-Vampire Hunter days. My first Pokemon, I guess, experience was back in elementary school, where Pokemon became like super popular, and I never had a Game Boy at the time that Red, Blue, and Yellow came out.
Yep.
So I was trying to get friends to like let me use theirs, and but obviously, as it's an RPG with one save file, you can't really. If your friends are playing it, doing post-game stuff, you can't really say, hey, let me start over on your game.
Let me delete everything you
all the work that you've done. Those 3 shinies that you've caught, forget it. But it wasn't until Gold and Silver came out that I started really getting into it.
Yep.
Like, I really wanted the game. And around 2002, I think, I broke my leg.
Ooh.
Like, I broke my leg skiing. And my parents, out of sympathy, got me a Game Boy because I spent all my time at home. And Pokemon Crystal was one of the first games that they got. And I loved it.
This game here. Did you name him Keith then, too?
No. I named him Chris.
It was me.
Yes, Dio, the entire time.
But explain what just happened there in the corner of the building.
I talked to this red-haired douchebag, and he pushed me back.
It's just like, this is my corner. Get out of here.
That's the alleyway behind the professor's laboratory.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's just sitting there staring in. Hey, Professor Elm.
Hey.
You're looking awfully good there. I'd like to snag me one of them balls you got on the table.
Now just look at the size of the Pokeball. It's like
unrealistically big.
It's like a boulder. It's just like
it's bigger than your head. Like
Use
even in the
both
anime,
hands to
that's just
throw it.
not a thing. But this is where you choose your starters. In every game, you get 3 starters to choose from.
Mm-hmm.
You get in Gen 2, it is
Fire.
Cyndaquil, Totodile, and Chikorita.
Fire.
We are choosing Cyndaquil,
Fire.
just like
Always.
everybody else. And what Pokemon you choose as your starter kind of determines what your difficulty is going to be.
Oh, really?
Yeah, more or less. Fire is kind of considered to be the easy mode because the first few gyms are weak against fire.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not actually, I think there's, let me think here. In the first half of the game, there is
Quincy.
3 gyms specifically that are exclusively weak to fire.
Yep.
Where grass and water, there's a lot less. Like, I actually don't think that, like, I think there's only 1 gym in the first 8 that is expressively weak to water. And
I'd say that the grass ones probably be the hardest.
yeah, because your first few gyms are super effective against grass.
Yeah.
So, with that being the case, I can honestly say this: Chikorita was my first pick when I first played through this game.
Mm-hmm.
And but I had the mentality of, instead of trying to play this through and level everything up and make it even,
Yep.
I'm just going to tank one character and just catch Pokemon that are close to that level to be support.
Now, wasn't Crystal the first one to implement the moving sprites?
Yes, properly moving sprites.
And
then they dropped that idea like it was hot until I don't even know. Like, I believe it was either Gen 5 or Gen 6 that they brought in properly moving sprites again.
Like, why do you think it took them so long to bring it back? Like, why get rid of it in the first place? That's what I'm wondering.
I think it was just kind of experimental when they did it, and they didn't expect it to be a big thing. So when they brought in, like, the I'm sorry, I just lost the thought. In Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, they placed a bigger focus on the models rather than having them move. Like, they wanted it to, like, the environments to look better, and wanted the attacks to look better, and wanted to give in your party each individual Pokemon a sprite, rather than having these generic, sprites to work with. So they focused a lot on that, and then, like, just kind of left out the animation. Gen 4 has no excuse.
No excuse.
None at all. They should have been doing it. And I don't think that they had proper animation in it as well. I don't remember. It's been probably 3 or 4 years since I've played Gen 4.
Yeah.
Sorry, folks, I'm still sick. But I'm gonna kind of give a run through of what we're gonna be doing in this game. Everything storyline. So from Cherry Grove to Red, or Mount Silver, I should say. Everything from Cherry Grove to Mount Silver is going to be completed, so it's going to be a complete run. I'm going to be cutting out a lot of unnecessary crap, though. Like, since it's kind of more of a storyline run than a, watching me train and level up and stuff like that. I'm kind of keeping it for the sake of pacing at the moment. I'm kind of keeping in a lot of the early battles. But when you get down the road, I'm going to be cutting out basically anything that isn't in a gym. I'm going to basically keep the first and last fight in a dungeon. And I'm only keeping in Pokemon that I catch. Like wild Pokemon that I catch. Later parts, I'll have to do a lot of jump cutting around because when I was recording this, I wasn't really attentive to what I was doing. This guy is Tutorial Man. He shows you the tutorials. Basically, if you've never played a Pokemon game before, this is the things that you need to do. Like,
this is the C, as you can see.
That you need to know. And the only reason I'm letting him drag me around is because at the end of it, he gives me a very important thing. He lets me go into his house.
Let me give you a small gift if you come inside my house, Keith.
Yep. The map card. It is a map.
Now put it in your backpack, Dora.
Our magical backpack of wonderment. But at the moment we're traveling to Mr. Pokemon's house. All Pokemon are named after him.
Mr. Pokemon.
Yes, a entire, like, that's like calling somebody Mr. Animal. But anyways, we're going to his house because he's got something for Elm. He's got a special item. So, turn-based RPGs, Trey. That's what this is. What is your experience?
For some reason, I thought he was going to say turn-based RPGs go. That's what you were about to say.
Yeah. What is your experience with them?
The only type of turn-based RPG I've ever played was Pokemon. Ones that I've wanted to play was, mostly everything in the Final Fantasy series because I've never really sat down and played Final Fantasy. Like, I've watched you play it several times.
I have several Final Fantasy games. Why don't you just play one?
I haven't got around to touching them yet, but yeah, Pokemon is really the only type of turn-based RPG that I've ever played. That I've ever sat down and wanted to actually play all the way through.
It's a little bit more of an individualistic RPG, kind of like really, it's kind of a pure RPG as far as it's concerned, because not only do you have the element of raising your Pokemon and, you know, having certain Pokemon are good at certain things and being able to choose, you know, how to form your party, but it's also how you choose to deal with certain obstacles. And it's definitely a really balanced game in general. And it's one of those games that gets a lot of hype, particularly Gen 2. I mean, a lot of the people that I know, when you talk to them about Pokemon, it's all Gen 2. That's their favorite. Which, I mean, it's understandable because they're all around my age. Gen 2 came out around the time they were, 10, 11. Or,
Yeah.
So, at that point in time, they were able to kind of do their own thing. But, as far as other games are concerned, it's, it's a good, solid RPG. Definitely something that I would recommend as even a first RPG.
Yep. Now, I'm not going to lie. For the longest time, I never looked at Pokemon as to be an RPG.
I didn't actually get into... I played a lot of RPGs as a kid, but I didn't actually get into it as a genre until I was mid-teens.
Yep. Pokemon for me just didn't feel like one. I don't know, whenever I think of RPGs, the first thing I think of is Final Fantasy. And Pokemon just isn't one that I would think would be one.
Right. And so here we have Professor Oak, who, just like his grandson, gets his own theme music.
I just never realized that.
In the first game, Gary Oak has his own theme music.
The Oaks are
have
their own boombox attached to their hip or something like that.
It's a family heirloom.
Yeah.
Mr. Pokemon gave us an egg, which is nice. And
whenever
Professor Oak gave us a Pokedex, which is nice.
Ooh. Whenever an Oak is born, it comes with a CD.
Its own soundtrack.
Pretty much.
Here, you should have some rest. Come here and sleep in my house.
I'm depending on you.
You take one step out, get a phone call. It's just terrible. Get here now. Thanks. That
doesn't explain a thing. Just.
You know what? If I got a phone call like that from somebody that I knew that was just like, this is bad. Just come now. Like, I would think, what am I going into?
Exactly. It's like, do I really like this person enough to go and help them?
See, the good thing about this area, actually at night in this area, you see a lot of Spinnerax.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a fire type. Well, I have a fire type. It is very useful against bug types. However, there's also another thing that you can catch around this area at night that Quincy can't deal with quite so well, and just you'll see in a minute. I will be catching one.
Quincy just looks at it like,
Which actually brings me to my next point. Pokemon Crystal actually implemented a new system or Pokemon Gen 2 implemented a new system, the day and night system.
Yep.
Certain Pokemon can be caught during the day, certain Pokemon can be caught during the night. Simple as that. Certain events activate at night, certain events activate during the day. And, all throughout the week. So, there. Piece of trivia. I forgot what I was going to say now. Trey, I've lost the commentary again.
Find it, please. Pick it back up.
This damn thing, it won't go. I can't keep a hold of it.
Now, when is it that you actually learn a elemental attack? That was a stutter, and I'm proud of myself.
I'm proud of you, too.
That was good.
I wasn't the first one that couldn't words today. I think the first time you learn an elemental attack as, Cyndaquil, is somewhere around level 10, 12, something in that, you learn Ember. In later games, like Gen 6, they start giving you a elemental attack when you first start out.
You just automatically have it.
That makes this game so much easier.
I must go to the Poke Center. Here, heal my Pokemon.
Yep. Also, a lot of this game is going to be played at night because I am an insomniac. Who works third shift.
Night owl.
So I'm, pretty much up all night.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to get some daytime footage. Usually the time that it's daytime is when, it's so late in the day that it's so late at night that it's actually morning. And see this guy? He's an asshole.
He's like, you got a Pokemon too? Jeez, you're so wimpy. Although you're going to get beat by the so-called wimp.
You're going to see how much of an asshole this guy is.
Just look at his hair. It just automatically makes him an asshole. His question mark says his name. Who is this guy?
Fun fact, when I first played through this game, he's your rival. Every rival, you get to input his name. I actually named him 3 question marks.
Really?
Yeah, I just took what the name was and just put dot or question mark, question mark, question mark. Because that's all I knew what to do.
Oh my gosh. It's like,
after seeing who can tackle the best.
Going to scratch you to death.
Tackle and scratch, tackle and scratch, tackle and scratch.
Let's just see which one chips the other one to death.
Critical hit.
Oh, dear God.
Look who thinks they got some berries, huh? But they were wrong. I am the one with the berry.
Ooh.
As you can see.
Literally.
Also, held items is another thing that this game really implemented a lot. Berries in particular.
So whenever you give an item for the Pokemon to use, the Pokemon can just use it at any time.
Usually when you give a Pokemon an item, there's prerequisites to that item being used. Like berries usually only activate either if a status condition is inflicted or if your health drops below a certain point.
Oh, okay.
Usually things that there's a lot of items that you can give that are kind of automatic effect, like the Quick Claw or the Amulet Coin.
Yep. Where,
they're automatically in effect, which is exactly what I just said. But, held items are not really just a use anytime. And only certain items, actually, this is pretty interesting. Only certain items will activate if they're held. Like, you can give a potion to a Pokemon to hold. It won't do anything.
This music.
The sound direction in this game is really good. I want to see what this guy was talking about in the alley. He was guarding that alleyway with his life.
What's so crazy about this?
I heard a Pokemon was stolen here.
What?
There's 2 guys in there. One guy just happened to break in, and steal something right under the professor and his aide. We're calling him Dave.
Dave.
My eternal rival.
God.
His name is Dave.
Keith
and Dave. Locked in an epic struggle. I like how Professor Elm completely changes his tune. He's like, oh, this is terrible. Hey, what's that? He really is startled by that egg. Yeah. Also, interesting fact, he's got a desktop computer and a laptop. Why? Because reasons.
Because he needs this stuff. You don't understand when it comes to being a professor of the Pokemon-ness.
Pretty much, I mean, he just needs all of the computers. Those aren't bookshelves, those are servers.
Every single one of them, yeah.
I love how every professor ever is like, you're 10 years old, right? don't you go out and take the Pokemon League challenge? Wouldn't that be fun?
Travel the land by yourself. Why not?
It says I received a Pokeball, but really I received 5 Pokeballs.
Ooh.
Which in later games is upgraded to 10 Pokeballs.
Oh, dear God.
But that's the end of this part. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.
Goodbye.